There's James's meal for today. It's he actually has some penne in the spaghetti squash as well, underneath all that, and there's some of that dairy-free cheese sauce there, and whatever. Some chocolate almond milk. We're going to talk about Spenser for Hire Season 2, and James is going to continue to talk about Slaughterhouse 5 and J. Krishnamurti. And there's mine. So I'll get this set up here, and I'll show you. This is my outfit for today. Isn't this wonderful? So
Is it the first time you've worn it?
It is. It's the first time I've worn it. I bought this from the MCC thrift store, and it's funny, you know, we were listening to a show on the radio, or people talking on the radio about thrifting, and I guess they've given it a little. I thrifted that, they say, when they get something from them. Yeah, I've never heard it before, but I guess they're trying to start pretending it's cool to thrift shop. They're saying everyone's thrift shopping now, and it's because it's cool. No, it's because our relative income has went down.
Was that the CBC that was talking? Yeah,
that's why people are thrifting.
They make so
now.
much money off us poor taxpayers. They've got no clue about actually having to live on the edge.
You go to the thrift store, and I got this. There was a price tag for $8 on it for the set. Can you believe it? Beautiful beadwork and all these sequins, and wow, this is probably the fanciest outfit I've ever owned. $8. So awesome. Every time I see clothing that Indian women wear, I think, oh, they look like princesses. And so when I dress like this, I feel like a princess, and I love it. So that's all. I'm going to put a coat on top of it, even though it's so beautiful. I don't want to, but it's a little bit chilly out here today, which is why I was able to do all this cooking. So that's good. I was able to get a lot of cooking done, and without heating up the house. So that's a lovely thing. Anyway, oh, weird.
What's wrong?
Must be a spare button in here somewhere, but I don't know how even to. Never mind. It does not matter.
You're missing a button?
There it is. Maybe so. It looks like they're all there.
I think one's there in case one gets lost. Right?
Yeah. My lovely sister gave me this coat, and I think it sort of matches this all right.
It actually does.
So it'll have to today because it's a little bit chilly. But, oh, how wonderful to dress like a princess. Anyway, so James is eating his eggs first.
No, I recommend that.
Mm-hmm.
I like eggs, but only when my stomach's relatively not full.
I have to get myself some water. I forgot. So you go ahead and talk about the stuff.
All right.
Because it's all you today.
Is it? Okay.
Yep, I'm just here to look pretty.
And I'm not, folks. Got a little bit of skin cancer on my nose. Got 5 fractured vertebrae. Stuff like that. Just finished watching Spenser.
Yeah, we haven't finished season 2 yet, but we may as well talk about it because there's enough there to talk about.
Yeah, I don't know how much of season 2 we've done.
More than half.
It feels like I've gone through several years about 2. Yeah.
Yeah, season 2, they decided to slow down the music.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Why? Why would you do that? It's
you mean
supposed
for the
to be
credits? Or
for the opening sequence and whatever. And the credits at the end. But why? Why would you do that? This is supposed to be action. He's chasing bad guys, whatever.
But he's got a fighter's fist with a poet's soul. So maybe it's emphasizing the poet's soul there. Or something like that. I get that from the back.
And a Santa Claus belly.
It hasn't quite got to that point.
It hasn't gotten that
and
bad yet.
The funny thing is they've still got him running into scenes, which I kind of appreciate. It kind of cuts down on the... So, and a fighter's fist, yeah. Yeah. Poet's soul, that's assonance. Fighter's fist, alliteration. They're chucking all this in there for you, you know what I'm saying? A true Renaissance man. He faces danger head on, backed by his formidable ally, Hawk, and contacts inside the police department, and they're pretty dumb, but his longtime love, Barbara Stock, refuses to marry a man whose life is a constant dance with death. Okay? He's a former cop, hangs around with cops. He hangs around with kind of a shadowy figure called Hawk, who's you don't know. I guess he's an anti-hero, right?
I guess so.
He flirts with underworld. He flirts with the cops. Just not in that way. So the best acting I've seen so far has been on the show, and I've seen several. A couple of them I've seen kind of like all the way through twice, but I slept through most of those. Yeah, it's a great soporific. I find it kind of laughable. I feel bad because sometimes I laugh at it. Maybe it interrupts Pauline's thoughts on it. I wouldn't necessarily call it appreciation. I wouldn't want to assume that. But yeah.
No, there's been some episodes that are truly funny. Like there was one
in a campy kind of way, right?
Yeah, there was one bad guy that was pointing the gun at himself while he was talking. That was pretty great.
Yeah, like almost committing inadvertent suicide. Oh yeah, there's some hilarious stuff. But the best I've seen so far, he wasn't that good. It wasn't that bad. Is Seth Green. A very young Seth Green.
Yep.
In his precocious little way. I think he's like one of the best all-round comedy actors I've ever seen. I've seen him in a lot of different roles. One of the things is he's got that constant, well, he didn't have it in this role, but constant irony, you know, like he's kind of, he always is, well, not always, not when he's a kid, but this knowing kind of grin or whatever, look on his face. It's
I think the best actor, I mean, it was great to see Seth Green, but the best actor was what's his face?
In this particular show?
No, not this show, not the disc that you watched today. But I think it was still season 2. Yeah,
but in Spenser for Hire, I think it's officially called.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was what's his face? The actor everyone loves that's in everything now. What's his name? I can't remember.
What does he look like?
Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh yeah, he did a great job. I'd forgotten it was in this show. Yeah. So yeah, he blew Seth Green out of the water, but
yeah,
Seth Green looked as though he was barely out of diapers. I'm exaggerating.
Maybe 7.
Somewhere around that. Very young. So what else was I going to say? Yeah, a lot of the backup actors are just cornball. That's all get out there. They've got a wee small, I say caption or something like that. Is it Richard Jekyll or Jekyll? Jekyll, I don't know how to mispronounce it. It seems German. I think it said Jekyll. Hilarious. A lot of the people in this show have nose bobs, and some of them are way too much of a bob. You know, like someone. Yeah.
You mean Spenser for Hire or just
Spenser
TV in
for
general?
not him. Well, TV in general, but in this Spenser for Hire, there are a lot of bad nose jobs where the upper lip is just too long, ridiculously so. And amazingly enough, like the one of the criminals who figures prominently from show to show is called Flaherty, and he might have had an Irish nose originally, but he's got this really long upper lip, so and a very small nose. Yeah. So it doesn't look very Irish. I don't know. It's. I find, yeah. So this Spenser guy, they constantly try to make him look studly and so on and so forth, and they're just running to Pudge. Still kind of running. He's constantly quoting from, what was it, recently, Boswell. I'll call things Spenserian. He's saying, he's making a quote, this is from Spenser, but he's saying the second Spenser, so he's referring to himself, but the first would have been a somewhat earlier contemporary of Shakespeare. And he probably was considered up to that point in time the greatest poet in the English language outside of Chaucer, who preceded Spenser by 150 years or something like that. Edmund Spenser is the name, Edmund Spenser. Much hated by the Irish, apparently. I think he was kind of like not a very enlightened administrator in Ireland. Edmund
Interesting.
Spenser. Yeah, I've got a book written by, in prose, he wrote in poetry, general, about the Irish situation. So, I don't know, very bad writing. You know, sometimes people, when they're young, they get enthused about stuff, and they never read it. So, Edmund Spenser is very popular amongst the Romantic poets, around 1800 to maybe 1825 in England. And he was popular, Edmund Spenser was, with George Gordon, Lord Byron. Until Byron actually wrote stuff, one big long thumping thing, maybe a couple of them, in the Spenserian stanza form. And then apparently he actually bothered to read Spenser, absolutely hated him. And yeah, there's a reason. Spenser's one of the worst practitioners of English poetry in the history of the language. Inversions, archaisms. I'm amazed I got through his magnum opus. We could better call it maybe the magnum opus. And that one, it's the Fairy Queen. That one I wouldn't have been able to get through if it weren't for American footballers' long huddles. I'd read a stanza in a huddle, and then what would wake me up would be the football play. For 5 seconds, I'd go back and read another stanza. I can't believe I worked my way through. Anyway, they'll be quoting people, this, that, and the other thing. It's kind of hilarious. Anyway, How much time? It's 20,
15 minutes.
15.
So, James is going to talk about these two, and I don't know which one you wanted to talk
No,
about.
I'll finish up with Krishnamurti.
Okay.
Read his stuff. Don't bother with this. You'll fall asleep. I didn't actually fall asleep. Or did I? I don't think I did.
I don't
But
think you
it was, it's mercifully relatively brief. 69 minutes. I said 96 minutes yesterday when I introduced it. Because it felt like that at a minute. 69 minutes. Who is this schmuck? Why would you listen to him? Why would you bother? Why would you bother listening to me? Because I tell you, go out and read stuff. Go out. You see, research. The research for him is, hey, like I'm not, this is basically summarizing part of what he says is, I'm not preaching to you. You're making this discovery as we go along or whatever. No, that makes him kind of like a guide. I'm telling you, read. Read people who disagree with me or who are, like way off in left field or right field. With respect to me, I could be way off in right field or left field or way up in the clouds or down in the depths or whatever. Read stuff, make discoveries, but don't go parroting what everyone else is saying in your little echo chamber. I'm not interested. Okay? I'm telling you, get out of your echo chambers. And everyone's in their echo chamber. You on the left wing, you're talking about Donald Trump and their echo chamber, Fox Network. You guys have been so bad in your echo chamber. My brother was taught at York University at a PhD. I was kind of complaining about political correctness at university. It's fairly recently. And he was saying, oh, it was way worse in the 90s. And I go, well, how bad can it have got? You guys are way wacko. Because you've been in a crazy echo chamber. I think it was the 60s chimps. They finally made it into, to where they reached critical mass in academia in the 90s. But they basically set the very low standards for academia in particularly in the so-called humanities. In humanities, the so-called social sciences, they're the antisocial pseudosciences, sociology, anthropology, the worst. Incredible. You guys are absolutely bat spit crazy when it comes to so many things. You are absolute nuts. You are fellow travelers at best, for many of you commies and anarchists. Absolutely disgusting. And I shouldn't have to say anything about how stupid Donald Trump's followers are. He's stupid. It's incredible that he thinks people can buy what he's selling, and yet,
well, they must.
They do.
Because
that's the amazing thing. Yeah. He's a stupid salesman. He lies. Like he was saying, or maybe he'll be saying it's fake news. He was saying it was. Someone was on the radio, a talk show, saying he was saying it was going to be over in 2 weeks. This war in Iran. I don't think he ever said that. The guy corrected him and said 4 to 6 weeks. No, he said 4 to 5 weeks. I think they were both wrong. But it's been pretty well double that, folks. So what are you supporters of? Are you going to be saying, oh, that's all fake news? It wasn't really Donald Trump saying that back then.
Well, it could be that he's he could have said that, but he never meant it. I mean, why would he want the war in Iran to be over? It works out for Putin.
Putin is puppet master.
So
yeah.
I don't think he wants it to be over.
I don't think he wants it to be over until at least through this winter. He wants Putin to be getting all sorts of oil stuff. He wants people in Europe, particularly, people who are generally supporting the Ukraine one way or another, to really go through a energy crisis. Oil and natural gas in Europe, they get a lot of it from Russia. Basically, they want lots of money, European money going to Russia, and frankly, Putin probably wants it, so he'll say, hey, to the Western Europeans, well, you can freeze in the dark and cold in the dark, because we're not sending any of our oil and natural gas. And apparently a lot of European industry runs on natural gas. So I think it's, like there's one, they were saying on CBC, they weren't one, hey, isn't it coincidental? The only person who's really benefiting from this war in Iran is Putin. But they weren't saying, yeah, Putin is actually setting the agenda for Donald Trump. So a lot of things that Donald Trump says, particularly does, seem stupid. Unless you say, who's behind it all? Who's scripting it all? Who is setting the agenda? And that's Putin. Makes perfect sense. So there you go.
Back to J. Krishna.
Jiddu, or whatever, Jiddu. Anyway, I'd say don't bother. Maybe get hold of his books. Include Think on These Things, Education and the Significance of Life, The Awakening of Intelligence, and The First and Last Freedom. Read that. You'll get more of the stuff. You'll be able to apprehend it better. The guy is a really boring speaker. I understand, spoiler alert, they've got him smiling here. He looks like a really friendly fellow with the most amazing, what looks like a comb over. But I think it's kind of swirled around his head a few times. But I don't think he cracked a smile in the whole thing. Sometimes.
Which is weird when you're talking on love. On the nature of love.
Yeah, I know. It's just.
You'd be smiling.
You did. I never, that's a better way to put it. See?
But anyway, so you're saying
don't bother with
J.
this.
Krishnamurti on the nature of love doesn't measure up to Paul on the nature of love.
You mean like Paul the Apostle?
Yeah.
Or as the Catholic style of Saint Paul?
Yeah.
I don't think this guy, he keeps on degrading the West. The West is in the process of ruining everything. No, the people are in the process. He's saying the Asians, the Asian way of thinking. Asians are in the process of ruining it for everyone, overpopulating the world. It's bad enough they're overpopulating their own countries, and a lot of their so-called own countries are empires. China is an empire within its own boundaries. And I'm not just talking about Tibet, I'm talking about the Uyghurs in Western China. Huge whack of territory. It's not as though they're slathered on the outside of the inside of the external borders of China. India is a massive empire. It's a bunch of stuff that's been put together of various ethnicities, religions, all that sort of stuff. And they're overpopulating those areas, and they're spreading the wealth, the poverty around by colonizing Canada. In the case of India and China, they're imperializing Canada. Wake up, Canadians, and smell the coffee, because you're being imperialized. They'll say, oh, election interference. That's imperialization. Anyone who's involved in here in Canada with helping along the Chinese and the Indians in People's Republic of China and Modi and his flunkies are committing treason. They're acting as though it's something like a misdemeanor or something like that. It's treason. I don't believe in the death penalty, but it should be stripped of citizenship, automatic deportation once you've been convicted, or else life imprisonment if you don't want to go back to where you came from. Automatic life imprisonment with no parole. That's what the penalty should be for treason. It's stunning what the Americans were doing. It's supposed to be a national security state. There were people who were committing horrible treason in the 80s, and they were getting something like 8 and 9 years. Huh? What's that about? Did you know that? 8 and 9 years. And you get left-wingers say, the national security state is awful. What? Committing treason in Russia traditionally is, and that was just under suspicion of it. And, I don't know what they did. Like if you were just came under suspicion, you could be of anything. You could be. This is under the enlightened administration of Khrushchev, Brezhnev, Andropov, Chernenko. Maybe not Gorbachev, but you get sent off to a mental institution, and that wouldn't be just sitting around the grounds. You'd be put through dopification and electric shock therapy and stuff like that. Chemical shock therapy too. Okay, speaking of shock therapy, okay.
You have 3.5 minutes to wrap
Hey,
up.
left-wingers, in your echo chamber, I want you to start getting fixed numbers on things that you consider war crimes and stuff like that. So I was told when I was a kid, and I hung with left-wingers, and I was a left-winger myself, still am, but not crazed stuff like what's coming out in the echo chambers now. And the number of people who died in the firebombing of Dresden was 50,000. I don't know what Kurt Vonnegut has in the original book. Here they're saying 100,000, over 100,000. Now I've got a book, a textbook. I don't know if it's Oxford University Press or whatever, from I think it's a fairly prestigious university publishing house, and they say in there, with a straight face, as straight a face as you can have on the printed page, that the number of people who died in Dresden was, dig this, 200,000.
Wow.
Slight victim inflation there. Newsflash: the bombing occurred in 1945, and early 1945. I mean, the war was ended around this time. I think they surrendered May 7th. To the Western powers, signed the official thing May 8th, signed the official surrender with the Ruskies May 9th. Okay, so it wasn't even all in 95 or 1945. But like they'd committed any number of atrocities. The Allies didn't know if there were any Jews surviving. I think most of the ones that were going to get whacked had been whacked. But the important thing was to, just on that sort of thing, was to stop that right now. And if it takes some firebombing to do that, then it does. Understand, as I was saying yesterday or the day before, Dresden was a military target. It wasn't an industrial center so much as a transportation junction for the major route from the southeastern Europe up the Elbe River, or as the Czechs call it, the Laba. Dresden's right on that river. And then one of the two main routes heading from Eastern Europe, one would go straight to Berlin, one through Dresden. And basically what they were telling the Russians, in particular, who took a little gallivant down to southeastern Europe to extend their empire before they actually got to the handling the Germans. I don't know how many tens of thousands of people died because they jaunted down there. But they were telling the Russians, okay, we wiped out Dresden, now you can go in. Come on in, guys, please do it. But, everyone, the Germans declared war on the Americans. Check it out. Be skeptical. Don't be cynical. Don't be cynical and say,